Black screen. Low, dangerous whisper in the dark, I will ruin you for other men. Sudden flash of camera bulbs. Smashed a title card with thunder. Tail end of the reception. Crystal chandeliers, 500 guests. Damien Whitlock, tall, immaculate, lethal, corners Amara against a marble pillar. His hand braces beside her head, not touching her, but caging her in. Eyes locked. Breathing shared. Damien, voice barely audible over the orchestra, this marriage is paper. Touch me only when I say. Look at me only when I allow it. Amara smiles, slow and venomous, careful, husband. Some fires start with the smallest spark. His jaw flexes. He steps back just as the photographer calls for the final toast. Montage, fake smiles, champagne, rice thrown, the newlyweds whisked into the back of a Rolls. Inside the car, total silence. Streetlights strobe across their faces. Amara stares out the window. Damien stares at her reflection, knuckles white on his thigh. Teterboro private hangar. They board the Gulfstream in silence. Mid-flight. Seatbelt sign off. Turbulence starts. Pilot over intercom, Mr. Whitlock, Category 4 storm just upgraded. We're diverting to your Cayman residence. ETA 20 minutes. Damien's eyes flick to Amara. First crack in the ice, he actually looks at her. She meets his stare, lifts one brow, scared of a little rain, Damien? He says nothing. Just looks away. Wheels touch down in a monsoon. Rain lashes sideways. Stares lower. Damien steps out first, white dress shirt instantly soaked, black tie whipping like a blade. He doesn't hold an umbrella, doesn't look back. Amara follows in her wedding gown, silk clinging, hair plastered to her face, barefoot because the heels were left on the jet. Lightning forks. The villa looms ahead, glass walls, infinity lights flickering through the storm. They reach the covered entrance at the exact same second. Water streams off both of them. Damien finally turns. Eyes rake over her soaked, defiant form. Voice low, lethal, almost lost in the rain, welcome to hell, wife. He walks inside without waiting. Amara stands one extra beat, smiles into the storm, then follows. Door slams. Amara stands dripping in the marble foyer, wedding gown plastered to her like a second skin, mascara carving black rivers down her cheeks. She rips the soaked veil from her hair and throws it to the floor with a wet slap. Hell, she laughs, low and venomous. Let's see who burns first. Lightning strobes through the powerless villa as she storms barefoot down the glass corridor to the indoor infinity pool. Golden underwater lights bleed into the storm outside, turning the water into liquid fire. At the edge she stops. Looks left, right. No one. Fingers find the hidden zipper at her side. The ruined gown drops in a heavy, sudden heap, revealing a backless black silk slip she wore beneath it all day, the one no guest ever saw. Simple. Deadly. Still dripping, it clings, but it's opaque, elegant, dangerous. The dress that was meant to make her a bride now lies discarded like trash. One breath. She dives. Underwater, golden light wraps around her like a secret. Slow, graceful strokes, hair streaming behind her like ink in water. She surfaces in the center, pushes the wet strands from her face, eyes blazing. High above, on the second-floor balcony lost in shadow, Damien stands motionless. Shirt open from the rain, knuckles white on the iron rail. Lightning flashes, his face is torment and fury barely leashed. Thunder swallows him again. Amara freezes. She felt it. That stare like a hand on the back of her neck. She turns slowly, searching the darkness above. You bastard, she whispers, voice cutting clean through the storm. She climbs the pool steps like a queen rising from flames, water streaming off the black silk, every step deliberate. She walks straight toward the guest wing. Hips lethal. Wet footprints trailing behind her into the dark like evidence. Damien steps out of the shadows directly in front of her, blocking the path to the guest wing. White shirt soaked transparent, tie gone, hair wild from the storm. They're inches apart. Breathing the same air. Damien, voice like gravel, go to your room, Amara. Amara tilts her head, towel slipping lower, make me. 10 full seconds of pure silence. Only rain hammering glass and 2 heartbeats you can almost hear. His hands flex at his sides. Hers tighten on the towel. Neither moves. Lightning flash, his jaw is carved from stone. Then he steps aside. 1 inch. She walks past him, shoulder brushing his chest, never breaking eye contact. Hard cut. 72 hours later. Same island. 3 sleepless nights of this exact dance, hallways, doorways, glances that burn. Text on screen, 72 hours later, merger vote moved up 10 days. Private jet wheels up from the island runway at sunset. Both of them silent, bruised under the eyes, still electric. No words the entire flight. That same night. Manhattan Charity Gala. Amara in a backless crimson gown that stops traffic. She's on the dance floor, letting Damien's rival, Victor Lang, rest a hand on her bare waist while they sway. Close enough to make every headline tomorrow. Damien appears behind her like a phantom. No one saw him cross the room. His hand rises slowly, settles on the back of her neck, possessive, not painful. Victor feels the shift in temperature, instantly drops his hand and melts away. The orchestra keeps playing, but the entire ballroom is watching. Damien guides her off the floor and into the private courtroom corridor. Door clicks shut. He backs her against the wall with nothing but his stare. 1 heartbeat. 2. Then he kisses her, slow, deep, devastating. Hands never leave her neck and waist, but the kiss feels like it strips her bare. He pulls back just enough to speak against her lips, voice ragged, you just ruined me in front of the entire world. 1 more second of eye contact, then he turns and walks out. Amara stays against the wall, breathing hard, fingers touching her mouth. The courtroom door clicks shut behind them with the soft finality of a coffin lid. Amara's goods still hangs in the air like smoke. They ride the private elevator in absolute silence. 43 floors. Her lips are swollen, pulse hammering in her throat. Damien stands half a step behind her, hands clenched at his sides, the imprint of her mouth still burning on his. Neither looks at the other. The mirrored walls throw back 2 people who look violently, unforgivably alive. The penthouse is dark when they step inside. She walks straight to her bedroom without a word, closes the door, turns the lock. The sound is small. It might as well be a gunshot. Night 1 to 3 a.m. Damien appears outside her door barefoot, shirt unbuttoned, hair disheveled like a man waking from a fever dream. He stands there. 60 seconds. No knock. No voice. Just the weight of him on the other side of the oak. She sits on the floor, back against the door, knees drawn up, listening to him breathe. At 3:01 he leaves. The hallway falls silent again. Night 2 to 3 a.m. same hour. Same shadow under the door. She has dragged a pillow to the floor now, curls on it like a child waiting for a storm to pass. 60 seconds. Gone. Night 3 she starts timing him with the bedside clock. 59, 60. His footsteps recede. She presses her forehead to the door and whispers nothing. Night 4 she leaves a glass of water outside. In the morning it's still there, untouched, condensation ring staining the marble. Night 5 she falls asleep against the door. Wakes at 3:07 to realize he stayed an extra 7 seconds after she stopped breathing loud enough for him to hear. Night 6 the shadow arrives. She stands this time, palm flat against the wood, feeling the faint vibration of his own hand on the opposite side. 60 seconds stretch until her pulse is louder than the city outside. He leaves. Night 7 to 3 a.m. She is already waiting, barefoot in an oversized black cashmere sweater of his that falls to mid-thigh, the one he wore the night he carried her out of the rain. Sleeves pushed up, collar slipping off one shoulder. Nothing underneath but the promise of skin. The sweater smells like him. She opens the door just enough for the hallway light to cut across her collarbones and the hollow of her throat. They stare. 10 seconds. His breath catches hard enough to hear. She lets the door close again. Lock clicks. The next morning, 8:17 a.m. CNBC runs the headline in screaming red, Kingsley Capital CEO's diversity hire mistress, photos inside grainy stills from a private fundraiser, her hand on his thigh under the table, his mouth at her ear, the moment he slipped the tie from his own neck and looped it around hers like a claim. Stock opens down 23%. 9:30 a.m. The emergency press conference, steps of the NYSE cameras flash like artillery. Damien stands at the podium in a charcoal suit, face carved from ice. Reporter, Mr. Kingsley, do you deny the relationship? He doesn't blink. Miss Ellis was a 6-month contract hire brought on to satisfy certain optics. I have never mixed business with pleasure. Anything you believe you saw was a misinterpretation by an individual who clearly overestimated her relevance. The words slice clean. Behind the reporters, Amara watches on the live feed from the bedroom TV. That same evening she is eerily calm. 1 Hermes weekender bag. 3 dresses, 1 passport, the burner phone she has never used. She leaves the black tie knotted on the banister like a body swinging. She is gone before the city lights come on. 11:42 p.m. Damien lets himself into the penthouse. The silence is wrong. He knows before he reaches the bedroom. Closet doors yawning open. Empty hangers swaying like gallows. Her scent still clings to the air, jasmine and betrayal. A single heartbeat of silence. Then Damien's fractured whisper still hangs in the empty penthouse, Amara. Cut. 12:06 a.m. He's already moving. Phone to his ear, voice lethal calm. Find her. Now. The trace pings a quiet brownstone in Carroll Gardens. He never knew she owned it. Of course he didn't. 12:19 a.m. The matte black Maybach tears across the Brooklyn Bridge. No driver tonight. Red lights are only suggestions. 12:31 a.m. He parks 2 blocks away and walks the rest. 1 lamp glows on the first floor. The front door opens with the spare key she never asked for back. Inside, the living room is dim and warm. Amara is curled on the couch, still in the blood-red gala dress, one heel kicked off, the other dangling. Hair spilled like dark silk across the cushion. She's finally asleep, pride and exhaustion duking it out, exhaustion winning. Damien forgets how to breathe. He crosses the room in 3 silent strides, kneels, and slides one arm beneath her knees, the other behind her back. Lifts her against his chest like she's made of glass and nightmares. His hand trembles. He has never touched her gently. Not once. Halfway down the hall her eyes flutter open. She's cradled against him, cheek to the steady thunder of his heartbeat. Their gazes lock, no walls, no weapons, just recognition, raw and ruinous. Her palm rises slowly, cups his jaw. Thumb brushes the corner of his mouth like she's checking he's real. Say it, she whispers, voice husky with sleep and everything unsaid. He stops walking. Shadows wrap around them. His forehead rests against hers. The words scrape out, broken and brand new. I hate, his throat works. I hate that I don't hate you anymore. The confession lands like a detonation. She fists his shirt and pulls him down into a kiss that feels like surrender and war at the same time, desperate, deep, years of venom turning into oxygen. He presses her gently against the hallway wall, her arms winding around his neck. The world shrinks to heat, to breath, to the way she sighs his name like forgiveness. They're one heartbeat from the edge when her phone lights up on the floor. A new message. A single photo, taken seconds ago through the half-open curtains, the two of them framed in the dim glow, her back against the wall, red dress vivid, his shoulders shielding her, forehead still touching. Someone is watching. Amara stiffens. Damien's head snaps toward the window, body curving to cover hers completely. His eyes go impossibly dark. He lowers her until her feet touch the floor, steadying her when her knees buckle. His hand slips to the small of her back, protective, possessive, then moves to the phone. He turns the screen so she can see. His voice is quiet, deadly soft against her ear. They just made the worst mistake of their life. He straightens, every line of him promising retribution, and steps in front of her like a living shield. The camera lingers on Amara alone for a final beat, dress twisted, lips swollen, chest rising fast, the echo of his confession still burning in the air. The whispered words still hang between them like smoke. Then bring me with you when you end them. 1 heartbeat. 2. Damien's eyes snap from the phone to her face. Something cold and unstoppable flares behind the gray. He pockets the phone, takes her wrist, and they're moving. The Maybach waits at the curb, rear door already open. 12:39 a.m. Brooklyn disappears behind tinted glass. 12:51 a.m. Teterboro. The Gulf Stream is rolling before their feet touch the tarmac. The pilot sees Damien's face and says nothing. Amara is on barefoot, the silk of her gala dress torn at the thigh from earlier. Damien slips off his tuxedo jacket and drapes it over her shoulders without breaking stride. She pulls it close and keeps pace. 1:07 a.m. wheels up. Manhattan shrinks beneath them, a glittering scar against the dark. Inside the cabin, the lights are low. Damien pours 2 fingers of bourbon, downs it in one motion, then finally looks at her. They move the Senate vote to 7 a.m., he says, voice raw. If we don't walk in tomorrow looking unbreakable, the merger dies. Everything we fought for dies. Amara gives a short, humorless laugh. So the universe wants us married by sunrise or ruined by lunch. How poetic. He crosses the cabin in 2 strides, stops just short of touching her. I will find who took that photograph, he says, lethal and quiet. But first, we survive the morning. Her pulse is racing. And how do we do that, Damien? Pretend the last 5 years never happened? We don't pretend anything. He kisses her like a promise and a threat all at once. She kisses him back the same way, 5 years of anger, grief, and unspoken things crashing together. The bedroom door at the rear of the jet closes softly. Whatever happens next belongs only to the engines and the night. 2:48 a.m. Reagan National. Black SUVs wait on the tarmac. The motorcade races through empty streets, lights off, tires humming. 3:07 a.m. The Hay Adams. Top floor suite, windows framing the White House in pale moonlight. The door clicks shut. Silence, thick and charged. Damien hurls the crystal tumbler, it explodes against the fireplace in a burst of bourbon and glass. Amara doesn't flinch. She meets his stare, breathing fast. You carried me to bed tonight, she says, voice rough. You said you don't hate me. So what is this, Damien? We smile for the cameras tomorrow and go back to destroying each other the day after? He steps closer. You think I carried you because I'm weak? Then why? Because if anyone ends this war between us, Amara, it's going to be me. The space between them disappears. They come together like a storm finally breaking, hands gripping, mouths searching, years of pain and longing pouring out at once. Her back presses against the tall window, the city lights flicker across them as they hold on like letting go would break them both. Time blurs. Clothes fall away. They sink to the carpet, wrapped in each other and the quiet roar of everything they've never said. Much later, they sit side by side against the glass, breathing steadying, fingers still tangled. Dawn is a thin gray line on the horizon. Amara's voice is soft, almost broken. You're mine now. Try walking away again, I dare you. Damien pulls her close, resting his forehead against hers as the first touch of gold spills across the monuments. The night ends, but they don't let go. The first ray of sunrise spills gold across the Hay Adams carpet, painting their tangled hands and the slow rise of their shoulders. For one suspended breath, the world is quiet. Then the phones begin to vibrate. 7 a.m. in New York. The Gulf Stream touches down hard. They haven't slept. Amara's lipstick is gone, Damien's shirt is buttoned wrong, and the marks on both their throats are hidden beneath collars and silk scarves. They don't speak. They don't need to. Not yet. 7:12 a.m. 62nd floor, Strathmore Tower. Damien strides into his corner office. A single manila envelope sits dead center on the obsidian desk. No courier name. No stamp. He tears it open. Photographs. Screenshots. Bank transfers routed through the Caymans. Emails that look exactly like Amara's account selling merger blueprints to Victor Langford, his oldest enemy. His blood turns to ice. 7:13 a.m. to 10 a.m. He sits motionless in the dark, replaying the evidence on the wall projector. Every loop is a fresh knife. The woman who whispered your mind only hours ago now appears to have sold his empire for $30 million. 10:01 a.m. to 1 p.m. The glacier cracks. He sweeps an arm across the desk. Glass and steel rain onto marble. A 1956 Macallan bottle follows, shattering against the window that still carries the ghost of her back pressed to it in D.C. He screams her name once. The sound ricochets through the empty floor like a gunshot. 1:15 p.m. to 4 p.m. Emergency board call. 40 faces on the screen. Damien's voice is Winter. Effective immediately, Amara Strathmore is terminated and barred from every property I own. She betrayed us all. He ends the call before anyone can speak. The live investor stream catches the tail end. By 4:30 p.m. the internet is burning with the headline, Billionaire King publicly disowns wife he married at dawn. 4:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. The penthouse is black except for city glow. Mirror by mirror, he destroys every reflection that dares show him the man who believed in her again. Glass explodes. Blood runs from his knuckles. He doesn't feel it. 10:47 p.m. His assistant, pale and shaking, kicks the door in. Server logs just came back from Zurich. The metadata was forged. Someone spoofed her credentials. She never touched those files. The room tilts. 11:58 p.m. Rain lashes Brooklyn brownstone windows. Damien is soaked to the bone, hair plastered to his forehead, white shirt transparent and streaked with blood from broken glass. He doesn't remember the drive. The door opens. Amara stands in the doorway, light, eyes red-rimmed but steady. She's been crying, but the tears have dried into something harder. He drops to his knees on the wet stone steps. Water streams down his face, no one could tell what is rain and what is not. I was wrong, he rasps, voice shredded. I believed them for 12 hours and I destroyed us again. Forgive me, Amara. I'm begging you. Thunder rolls overhead. She looks down at him for a long, merciless second. Then she steps forward, cups his wet cheek with one hand, and says, quiet and deadly calm. Earn it, Damien. Starting tonight, and for every night after. The words strike harder than any fist ever could. Amara's hand slips from his cheek. She steps past the man on his knees, past the open door, and walks barefoot into the storm. She needs air that doesn't taste like his regret. Damien stays on the whetstone, head bowed, letting the rain punish him. 2 blocks away, tires scream. A black SUV barrels out of the darkness, headlights off. It clips her at full speed. Her body lifts, spins, hits the asphalt with a sickening crack and rolls to a stop beneath the orange glow of a street lamp. Silence. Then Damien's roar tears through the night. He's running before he registers moving. Shoes slap puddles, heart detonating in his chest. He reaches her in seconds that feel like years. Amara lies motionless, blood mixing with rainwater, dark hair fanned across the ground like spilled ink. He drops beside her, hands shaking so violently he can barely find her pulse. Stay with me. Stay with me, baby, please. Sirens. Red and blue lights strobe across the brownstones. Paramedics try to pull him away. He fights them like a cornered animal until they sedate him just enough to load her onto the stretcher. Hospital. 1:14 a.m. Chaos. Fluorescent lights, shouting, the metallic smell of blood. Damien stumbles in behind the gurney, soaked crimson, refusing the nurses who try to treat the glass cuts on his own arms. He shoves through the trauma doors, voice shredded, "I'm not leaving her." They wheel her into the bay. Monitors shriek. The line goes flat. 4 endless seconds. Doctors rip open her gown, charge the paddles. Clear. Her body arches. Once. Twice. Damien is on his knees again, forehead pressed to the rail of the bed, both hands wrapped around her so tightly the bones grind. "I love you," he rasps, the words ripping out of him like shrapnel. "I love you, Amara. Come back. I love you. Please, God, I love you." A single beep. Then another. Steady rhythm returns. Her fingers twitch against his palm. Eyelids flutter. A cracked whisper of a smile curves bloodless lips. "I heard that part," she breathes. Relief crashes over him so hard he almost collapses. Hours later, against every doctor, every nurse, every protocol, Damien lifts her carefully into his arms. For lines are gone, monitors silenced. She's conscious, fragile, but alive. He carries her through the sliding doors into the waiting Maybach, rain finally easing into mist. Over his shoulder, voice low and lethal, he tells the night itself. "No one protects you but me. Ever again." The car door shuts. Tires hiss on wet pavement. The Maybach glides into the private elevator. Damien cradles Amara against his chest the entire ride to the penthouse, her head tucked beneath his chin, breathing shallow but steady. 4:03 a.m. He carries her through the silent marble foyer, past the broken mirrors still glittering on the floor from 12 hours ago, and lays her gently in their bed like she's made of glass. She's asleep before her head touches the pillow, painkillers pulling her under. He doesn't move from the edge of the mattress. One hand stays wrapped around hers, thumb tracing her knuckles, afraid if he lets go she'll vanish again. 4:17 a.m. A soft scrape at the front door. A thick cream envelope slides across the floor and stops against his shoe. No writing on the outside. He tears it open with blood-crusted fingers. Inside, a single sheet of lab stationery and an old Polaroid. DNA results. 99.9998% match. Half-brothers. The photograph is creased and faded, a younger version of Damien's mother, smiling in the arms of a black jazz pianist, the man Damien was taught to hate, the man his father called the mistake. In the corner, a small boy with gray eyes just like his own stares at the camera. On the back, in red ink, Elias. Every attack flashes behind Damien's eyes in perfect order. The leaked merger files. The photograph at the gala. The SUV that tried to kill her tonight. All of it orchestrated by blood he never knew he had. His hands shake so hard the paper rattles. The phone on the nightstand lights up. Unknown number. He answers. A voice he's never heard, yet somehow recognizes in his bones. Calm. Venomous. Amused. Blood doesn't lie, brother. You grew up in the palace built on my mother's tears. Tonight I finally take something you actually love. A soft, deliberate click from the bedroom. Damien drops the phone. He's across the penthouse in 3 strides. The bed is empty. Sheets still warm. Window cracked open 6 inches, rain misting in. A single crimson drop clings to the white sill like an accusation. Damien's roar is primal, inhuman, a sound that shatters what little glass survived the day. He rips the nightstand drawer open. The matte black pistol is already in his hand. Damien is already in the Maybach doing 110 through red lights, eyes locked on the blinking red dot of the tracker he hid in Amara's necklace months ago. Rain lashes the windshield like bullets. 4:41 a.m. Red Hook waterfront abandoned warehouse, windows blacked out, single floodlight bleeding yellow onto the pier. Damien steps out alone. He leaves the pistol on the seat. Hands open and raised, he walks straight through the rusted roll door. Inside, 6 armed silhouettes. In the center, Elias, older than the photograph, same gray eyes, crueler mouth. Amara is zip-tied to a metal chair, gag in her mouth, a thin rivulet of blood at her hairline. Her eyes burn, not fear, fury. Elias smiles like a priest at confession. Sign the company over and she walks. Refuse and she dies in front of you. He slides a tablet across the concrete. Damien doesn't even glance at the screen. He signs with a finger still smeared with her blood from the hospital. Let her go. Elias laughs, lifts a gun, and presses it to Amara's temple. In the half-second his finger tightens, Amara moves. The ornamental blade hidden in her hair flashes once she slices the zip ties, surges up, and the room erupts. 3 guards drop before they clear leather. Amara is a blur of lethal grace. Damien charges bare-handed, takes the other 3 down with brutal efficiency, elbows and knees, the crack of bone on concrete. Silence falls fast. Only the brothers remain standing. Elias wipes blood from his lip, grinning. Finish it, brother. They crash together, no weapons, just fists, and 25 years of inherited hate. It's short, ugly, and one-sided. Damien ends it with Elias on his knees, face swollen, ribs cracked. He could kill him. He doesn't. He spits blood and walks away. Amara meets him halfway. They collapse together on the cold floor, arms locked so tight neither can tell whose heart is racing harder. Covered in other men's blood, breathing each other in like oxygen. Sirens in the distance. They don't move until the red-blue lights paint the walls. Months later, golden morning, Manhattan penthouse kitchen, soft jazz, coffee brewing, sunlight pouring over marble. Amara stands at the island in one of Damien's white shirts, hand resting on the gentle curve of her pregnant belly, laughing at something he whispered against her neck. He kisses the bare shoulder the shirt has slipped from, smiling in a way the world has never seen. She opens an old velvet jewelry box that arrived from his mother's estate. Inside, a single folded note in unfamiliar handwriting. She was never the only one I left you for. Amara stills. Damien reads over her shoulder, hand sliding protectively over their child. His voice is low, lethal soft, meant only for her. Whatever comes next, we burn it down together. But remember, my vicious love. I told you the first night, I have ruined you for other men. And you, Amara, have ruined me for life itself. She turns in his arms, rises on her toes, and kisses him slow and certain. Their joined hands settle over the place their future is growing. Fade to black on intertwined fingers in sunlight. End of story. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please don't forget to subscribe for more interest and captivating stories.